What is happening, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In this segment, I'd like to talk about Rampage Jackson in a recent interview stating that he's still got a little bit more fight left in him. Rampage says, "I can't leave MMA fans like that." I think this interview is from MMA fighting, but continuing, Rampage says, "No man, I ain't done. I'm not happy on my performance last fight. I can't leave fans like that. I'm gonna leave this sport a little better." He says, "Like I said, I'm in talks with fighting Shannon Briggs finally. That fight has been almost a year in the making. I want to do some boxing before I retire. I might do MMA, but I want to do boxing. I'm getting up there. I'm 44, man. I'm getting up there. My knees hurt from wrestling. When you're doing MMA, a lot of people want to take you down. They want to wrestle you." Alright, so right now, Rampage's mixed martial arts career, 52 fights total, 38 wins, 14 losses. He has 20 knockout wins on his resume. Absolute legend of the sport. I actually have a funny story with Rampage. I'm going to get into that in a sec. So in his last fight, he lost against Fedor Emelianenko. That was just like an abysmal performance. Rampage was so out of shape. Before that, he beat Wanderlei Silva, another legend, via TKO. 2 back-to-back losses, one to Chael Sonnen, one to King Mo. And he was on a good little win streak, a 5-fight win streak, before that last loss to King Mo. Rampage is a prideful man, a true fighter. I get it. He's disgusted with his last performance. I mean, he lost to Fedor, but Rampage looked terrible. Now, for some time now, Rampage and Shannon Briggs have been going back and forth. Quite a few funny live sessions on Instagram. Them two jawing at each other. Those guys need a podcast, seriously. But there was supposed to be a fight between Shannon Briggs and Rampage, one boxing match and one mixed martial arts fight. The boxing match was supposed to take place first because out of Shannon Briggs' mouth, he doesn't want to get too banged up doing MMA, then he can't do the boxing match. I'm also going to touch on how those matches would go, the boxing and mixed martial arts fight. But let me rant a little bit on Quentin Rampage Jackson. So I started watching the sport, early 90s, like in the first UFCs. Right around there, something like that. So yep, witnessed all those beginning UFCs. Then went over to Pride FC and fell in love with all those fighters from over in Japan. Wanderlei Silva, Mirko Cro Cop. Bas Rutten wasn't in Pride, but he was one of my favorites. Let's see who else. Igor Vovchanchin, Kazushi Sakuraba, Minotauro Nogueira, of course Fedor, Mark Coleman went over to Pride, Kevin Randleman. I could keep going. And another fighter that was over in Pride was Quentin Rampage Jackson. And yup, I did see that fight between Rampage and Chuck Liddell live. Pretty exciting times. That was a fun crossover fight. But going back to Rampage, man, Rampage back in the day was a beast. He was super explosive, super strong. Slamming people was kind of like his signature and MO. I remember when he fought Igor Vovchanchin. Damn. He slammed Igor so hard, I think he like cracked one of his ribs. That fight with Kevin Randleman was crazy. Rest in peace, Kevin Randleman. The match with Ricardo Arona, with one of the greatest slams in mixed martial arts. Arona had him in a triangle, doesn't hook the leg. Rampage scoops him up over his head, and Arona was a big boy, inhuman strength, slams Arona down back to the mat, headbutts him in the process, knocks him out. Just insane. Rampage, of course, eventually crossed over to the UFC, became champ over there. Quentin has a wrestling background. He was a hard hitter, a heavy puncher, developed boxing in his game. Pretty formidable mixed martial artist at his peak, to say the least. I mean, he became world champ. But Father Time is undefeated. Everybody slows down, especially fighters. Sometimes it's also a lack of motivation, injuries that pile up. You can't train properly, you can't move the same way. So Quentin started dropping fights. Heads over to Bellator. Like I said earlier, has a good little run. Starts dropping fights again. Some of the names that Rampage has faced: Wow, a who's who in mixed martial arts. I'm going to drop some notable names. I've been watching the sport forever, so I remember these guys. You'll definitely recognize some of them. So just names in the sport. So way back, his first pro fight, Mike Pyle. He fought Marvin the Beastman Eastman. He fought Sakuraba in Pride. Igor Vovchanchin, Kevin Randleman, Murillo Bustamante, Chuck Liddell, Vanderlei Silva, Ricardo Arona, Murillo Ninja Hua, Mauricio Shogun Hua. He fought Matt Linlin, Dan Henderson, Rashad Evans, Keith Jardine, Lyoto Machida, Matt Hamill, John Jones, Ryan Bader, Glover Teixeira, Joey Beltran, King Mo, Fabio Maldonado, Satoshi Ishii, Chael Sonnen, Fedor Emelianenko. I mean, come on. That's a mixture of some greats, tough fighters, and notable guys. So Rampage is 44 years old. Definitely getting up there for combat sports. But if he wants to still get out there and compete, if he wants to go out on a positive note, who are we to tell him no? Now for that quick Rampage story. So way back in the day when Rampage was in Pride, he used to actually give out his phone number to the fans. And he lost this fight against, I believe, Shogun Hua. And I wound up calling Rampage. I was a little bit skeptical. And I actually chatted with him about this on Instagram. If it's the real Rampage, chatting with fans on Instagram. But yeah, I called Rampage. I'm like, he's not going to pick up. Sure enough, Rampage Jackson answered the line. So I was like a little bit taken back. I'm like, holy crap. So all I said to him was that I was a fan, that he's a warrior. He tried his best. You win some, you lose some, to keep his head up. And Rampage is like, I appreciate that, bro. I appreciate that. No BS. If there's anybody listening that remembers those days when Rampage used to give his number out and you could back these claims, back me up, back me up. Not an exciting story with Rampage, but that's my story with him. Now on to the boxing match with Shannon Briggs and the mixed martial arts fight. We'll see if it goes down because these guys have been talking about it forever. Shannon the Cannon Briggs is getting up there as well. And that's a factor even in their boxing match. Because if we're talking about Shannon Briggs anywhere close to his prime in a pure boxing match with Rampage, I mean, you got to give it to Shannon Briggs. I'm going to say like 70-30. Barring Rampage catches him with something crazy, some wild flurry, some haymaker that lands, but I don't really see that happening. Shannon Briggs is an accomplished boxer. That's his world. Just a huge gap in experience and throwing hands and boxing between Shannon Briggs and Rampage. Now Rampage could crack, no doubt. Rampage has tested his skill in kickboxing. I think at least like one time. I remember he fought Cyril Abidi. Knocked him out pretty bad against the ropes. Don't quote me on that. This is just from the top of my head. But yeah, I mean, for me, that's like 70-30 Shannon Briggs. But again, Briggs is getting up there. He hasn't fought in a while. I think maybe like 4 years, 5 years or something like that. That's a factor. But I'm still going to go Shannon Briggs. Now for the mixed martial arts fight, I love Shannon Briggs. It's not going to go well for him at all. Now Shannon the Cannon Briggs had a kickboxing match with Big Cat Tom Erickson. He did well. I believe he TKO'd Tom Erickson. He was talking about it on the Joe Rogan, and he said that those leg kicks were brutal. And he was like, one more of those things and I was done. But he got the job done. He beat Tom Erickson. But man, I don't think Shannon Briggs really understands what he's getting into with mixed martial arts. I heavily favor Rampage Jackson. Probably like 90-10. The only way Shannon the Cannon Briggs wins is if he lands some kind of like a lucky shot, lucky haymaker. Other than that, Rampage is just going to kind of brutalize him. And I hope if they do fight in MMA, Rampage takes it easy on him. Because that's not really his world. There's so many ways that Rampage Jackson can hurt Shannon Briggs. From leg kicks to clinch work, elbows, slams. Once he secures one takedown, and he would take Shannon Briggs down, that's it. It's all over. Like, Rampage is not a submission expert. but compared to like somebody off the street, he's Damian Maya. That's pretty much Shannon Briggs, a guy that has no submission skill, no grappling skill whatsoever. And he's not going to be able to learn the mechanics or the technique and skill to keep the fight on the feet like that. Rampage isn't Bo Nickel, but he's infinitely a better wrestler than Shannon Briggs. He does have a wrestling background. But yeah, I don't even have to get too deep into that MMA fight. Rampage all day, 90-10. Would I tune in to see these fights? Of course. Kind of fun. Maybe you could call it a freak show. It's two OG fighters, knowing their place in a hierarchy, trying to make some extra coin before they fully bow out. Nothing wrong with that at all. But anyway, guys, let me know in the comment section, what do you feel about Rampage coming back to do some matches with Shannon Briggs and coming back to MMA in general? Eagle FC, anyone? Would love to read your thoughts. Thanks for watching the video, guys. If this is your first time at the channel and you do enjoy the content, please consider hitting that subscribe button. The best way to show support is to like and share the video. Pretty crucial. Appreciate that. And I will catch you guys on the next segment. Until then, everybody take care. Stay safe. Later.